Hello there! Welcome back to Charles Circle, and welcome back to Old World. Last time, we continued our war against Babylon, and ended up eliminating them entirely from the game. Aksum did take advantage of the situation and grabbed Uruk along their border, but even though it was a partition, we definitely grabbed more than Aksum did, helping us to close the gap between our civilization and that of the frontrunners, Aksum and Carthage. They're still winning, no question, but the gap is closing. So, we're in an interesting situation now. Fresh off some military success, the temptation is to keep pushing. Most likely either into Aksum here, continuing this sweep east, or to open up a front against Carthage up here in the northeast. There are two other options to consider, though. One would be war as well, but against an inferior opponent for easier expansion. So either against the Scythians here, or Hatti here, right? And then later, we would be on even more strong footing to fight against Carthage or Aksum. The other option, though, would be to focus on internal development. And I think after this war, we've actually got more cities than anyone else on the board does. That said, we're a bit underdeveloped, right? Because we've been putting all of our resources into military expansion, we haven't had a chance to really focus on building up the cities that we do have now. Of course, now that we have enough guns to defend ourselves, we could move from playing wide into playing more tall and invest more in the butter side of things, so to speak. And we have 15 cities, I think, by my count, more or less, and you can get up to 4 victory points per city if you get them all to legendary culture, and bonus victory points if you hit legendary too, and so on and so forth. So we have enough on the board right now to get there. We only need 54. We are Egypt, after all, and we could be builders. If we could get to that number before Carthage or Aksum does, that would feel appropriate. We are ruled by Hatshepsut the Valiant, though, and she's more conqueror than builder. And regardless, an ambitions victory is still on the table. These are actually all 3 of these are on the table to be accomplished pretty soon as this episode. So that could end up making the most sense here, and that could take us in any number of directions depending on what the game offers us. Now, we don't have to commit to anything quite yet, just sort of an expression of my strategic thoughts on the various directions that we could go. But no matter what we decide, it'll start with a couple turns of retrenchment to absorb our new cities, heal up our armies, and scout out what Aksum looks like around this area for a little bit. So let's get into it. So the first thing I wanted to see was we don't have a chancellor appointed yet. They just passed away. And unfortunately, our only candidate without a job is already severely ill. So that's probably a waste. In a vacuum, I would consider reassigning Seti. He's currently a general, I believe. Yeah. And this is a pretty good set of civics. Bonuses for a single chancellor character. That's awesome. But it would take a few turns to pay back. So it would cost us 100. This pays back in 5 turns. We really need to be able to enact volunteers, though, in order to hit this legacy ambition on schedule in 5 turns. So that would be a little counterproductive, and we're already going to be struggling, unfortunately, a tiny bit to get there as it is. So in a vacuum, I would do this, and we may yet do it after we secure volunteers, but I don't think we can quite justify that after all. Okay. Well then, we'll live without it for now, but we should assign this free luxury. This is the gems that I think just came online, maybe out here. Yeah, there it is. So let's send it to, it's not requested specifically by any of these families, so let's send it to a city. If we send it now to Waset, I actually think that probably ticks us. Yeah, so we're going from accumulating discontent to burning it down, just barely, but we are on the other side of 0. So hey, that's neat. All right, and then we need to assign this city to a family now that it has been fully captured. We've got a couple more cities still to finish capturing, but let's do that first. All right, so we're actually, we don't owe any of our families a city in particular, and they're all mad at us. But we have to give to someone, and I think the answer is going to be the sages, because this is a relatively built-up city, and we could use the civics and the research. So yeah, that's the move. We're doing it. Okay. Let's see, what else do we want to do here? I'm sort of looking around. Like I said, we need to accumulate civics. The issue is that we're currently building a bunch of specialists pretty much in every city, which is great because we need to do that. But that, of course, means that we're not generating, we're using the local civics production, and so we're not generating accumulation to the global stockpile. I think that's okay for a turn or two. Well, as that all washes out, we'll pivot away from it. But I think over here, actually, for example, I'd rather pivot this to at least be the specialists that would be most helpful. Now that we've built this, we can unlock the olives, which would be a great thing to get over to the landowners, because that will be 10 opinion per city, and they have quite a few in gain. So let's try to get that lined up. And then what else do we need to do around here? I guess we have a bunch of random military units to mop up over here. Let's see if we can do this. And can you retreat or not? Yes, you can. I was curious if that would count. You can still squeeze out of there. That's good. For him, not for us. It's fine for us. Let's get that sorted out. You should probably heal. And then over here, well, let's start with this, I suppose. Let's see. How about that? Followed by that. Guess he'll have to wait another turn before we can do anything with him. I guess we could send the militia over. Distract. That's what it's there for, I suppose. And then I think that's it out on this collection of random rebellions that we've gotten over the last few turns on account of how mad everyone is at us, which I do understand. I do understand. Okay, so then, the other things I would like to do in this area, we have a bunch of units that probably could use some healing. Let's swap this guy. Still need to capture the city, but he needs to heal. I would say same here. And then let's do some scouting, right? Maybe run out here. Okay. And then maybe a little bit on the water as well. I'm really curious if it will be worth bringing our navy around here. They're not doing us any good up here. It's not like this is going to be a particularly contested battleground anytime soon. I guess it could be helpful here. But if there's more to do out this way, it could be worth it. It's just a lot of orders to relocate a big set of boats like that. So let's heal here, I suppose here and here. We have added so much HP to our armies this turn. Are you still anchored or not? Just very curious. I can't move this guy over here, can I? Interesting. I guess maybe not. Must have been the hurricane or something disrupted it? Not sure. Not sure. Okay, no worries. We could bring this guy around too. I just don't really know exactly where I want to commit having him. so I'm not sure I'm going to bother quite yet. Let's do maybe a little bit more. I think we could scout out this way. Maybe not. Just get some visibility on the front. And then here, I think we'll just let... Actually, yeah, that'll be what we do. Come on over here, heal up, and bring him here to finish capturing. Very good. All right. So then what do we do with our, let's see, tutelage? Oh, interesting. Wish I'd seen this before I spent a bunch of orders, huh? That's okay. Because I do want a free court soldier, you know? Alright, well, that's a little bit on me, but let's... I'm willing to actually run back. We didn't gain any scouting information from that one, right? So, fine. I do still want this to be anchored. And then, alright, let's take the order there. Fine. Okay. In Dilbit, let's see, what do we want to do here? We could... Stonecutter? I mean, here's the thing, right? It makes more civics, which I would like in the longer run, but it's going to cost us our civics in the meanwhile. So the other thing we could do would be to get, and I know it's taking forever here, but it should pick back up. We do need to get a worker or 3 on this continent, because we are, I mean, there's nothing that can be done. I think we already lost 1 or 2 improvements that were hurt during the battles, but that's fine. Of course, we've still captured these cities and most of their improvements, so that's okay. So I think we will go with a worker, but if that's really going to tank our growth rate so much, I suppose we could start by at least trying to repair first. So yeah, I guess we'll sneak that in there first. And probably actually end up making the unit on the same, roughly the same timeline. So, and sure, why don't you heal? Okay. So, plenty of economic stuff we still aren't able to do with the orders that we have. But I think as we manage to finish healing and scouting here a little bit, we should be able to make that pivot a little bit more strongly. The cool thing is, right, we picked up this urban improvements ambition, and it counts by just capturing them, right? We started with this with like 20. We've doubled it simply by capturing a handful of cities. So that's convenient. That is convenient. Okay. Uh-oh. Severely ill. Are we going to have succession again already? That would be unfortunate. Manichaean pilgrims from Aksum are traveling to Dilbat, which is actually the holy city for Manichaeism. Fun fact. So we can spend some resources for an opinion boost with Aksum. We can gain a bunch of gold in exchange for, I mean, a little over 1 turn of training, and potentially lose a charisma. Simply ignore their opinion, or take a malice to their opinion, or get some unhappiness. I kind of don't mind this trade. It's a good chunk of change, you know? And I don't think she's going to end up losing the stat, and even if she does, well, we just said she's unfortunately severely ill, so okay, fine. And yes, please, free intercession to improve a family opinion. That would be great. Uh-oh. So our son has run off with our daughter-in-law? Well, I guess she is now because they have run off. Is that how that worked? We can let them run away, which would be not ideal. We kind of need them. She's a general. Not an incredible one, but not a terrible one. And he's, of course, our son and helpful to have. Of course, being imprisoned isn't going to make them any more likely or any more able to serve anyway, so shoot, I guess we just have to deal with this, huh? I guess it'll be nice and maybe they'll come back and we can sanction the marriage or something. I don't know. Not the best thing that could have happened to us there, I'm sure. Miro, what are you gonna build? Here, again, we should really get away from the civics consumption, but that is all the stuff that I want to use this for. Maybe we will... Would we grab a disciple? Maybe another unit? Onager might not be the worst thing in the world out here. Yeah, I think that's going to be the move. Let the civics accumulate a little bit. This is going to be tough. I could really use an event right now for that. Would be nice. Would be nice. See if we have that kind of luck. Wrap that up. Prepare. Heal. Probably. Although we really do need to get someone out here, huh? I mean, it's a militia. I don't really care if it ends up dying. Which is good, because it probably will, unfortunately. Send him over for next turn, but heal in the meanwhile, I suppose. Keep on mopping up. Out here... Interesting. I would love to build wonders for victory points too, but I mean, they all cost like 1,000 stone, which is a very expensive thing to go buy. And they also take a lot of civics in a lot of cases, so unfortunately not going to happen anytime soon. We could get a ministry down though. This is the courthouse, but the next level. We could get a stronghold going. This would allow us to get into our unique unit a little bit more. I think maybe we'll do that here. And then what else? More workers. Actually, it'd be good to get into the incense improvement a little bit more, right? This is a wrong family worker, but I think probably still worth doing it a turn slower. Let's see, what do we need to do military-wise? Let's keep scouting out here. Okay. So they have a tiny navy. These are biremes, same as ours, right? Just not as leveled up. But it's going to be hard to bring this to bear because there's only one tile that you could actually directly attack the city from. So far, you know, shrug, I guess, on whether or not it's worth bringing our boats around. But good to know, regardless. Should we bring the macemen over? What I might do, actually, is bring... Do we need to bring any, like, mobility back? No, not so much. I think we'll be okay as it is. Very good. Okay, so then I think we can do a bit more economic development, which is great. So this is a writer's family worker. What would we like to do with that? Maybe come down here and work on these, right? There's a grove and 2 groves actually that we would like to build, I'm sure. So yes, I think that's right. Let's send him down. In a few turns, this will pop and we'll get this. We'll have to send someone to go do that, but I think in the meanwhile, it'll still be worth it. How about out here? I want that, but it's on the other side of our borders for now, alas. However, repairing the Odeon, not a bad idea. I would love to get, we need a tech for it. I'd love to get monasteries down since we've got a couple of these random disciples here and there, but we don't have it yet, so we could, yeah, I think that's probably right. Go further into the courthouse line of buildings in this city. Here, maybe similarly, or that's a very good quarry. Yeah, I think that's the move. It is the one that we are still not quite generating enough of our raw resources, and it's nearly 20 bucks per stone that we have to buy, so it's not great. So probably worth continuing to push that line of rural improvements as well. Who else? And then we have, yeah, a pair of disciples that aren't going to be able to do much for us here. Okay. This guy, I think maybe we bring over here for some visibility on this coast. Just make sure that we have an eye on their army and what it's up to. And who else still has some movement? Do we bring this one around? I think we're just gonna do it. Yeah, yep, that's the move. That is the move for now. And then I don't think we need to do anything else military repositioning wise. We can heal you, I suppose. And the rest of this, I think we will simply stockpile the orders since we have that, what is it called, elites? We have that law, which is great. So maybe, yeah, so in 3 turns, I guess, we should tick both of these off because this will be 3 cities that we'll have captured, and we will have enough urban improvements, I believe. Spearman Buhen, fine, great. Oh no, we did end up losing, that's a 1 in 4 bad luck chance, so be it. Bit of cake, oh, this is what we needed. This is what we needed. Phew. All right, just to make sure that we're not walking away from something incredible, we are not. The answer is civics, because this way we can finally do volunteers. This will, there we go. Took a second to tick, but we got it. This has completed our legacy ambition to enact volunteers. And we only get 5 legitimacy instead of the 10 that we would have gotten if we completed it during Sabat's lifetime. But because we did do it, we avoided legitimacy loss from failing it and counted as an ambition. So that's good. In 2 turns, within 2 turns, we'll actually be sitting at 7 out of 10 ambitions, which is kind of close, actually. So that might be, depending on what they offer us next. If they offer us anything decent, it might end up being the way we try to win. And I think it's possible. Let's see, we just have to not have bad luck there, I guess. Come on out over here, and Ah, geez, do we spend a little force march on this? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if I care to. We could probably just do this from ranged units. Maybe? Take an extra turn. But I think that's okay. Up here, these guys can all heal, although you actually, I'm going to prioritize repairing this quarry first. Then we should figure out what we're doing with this. I do think we'll actually bring him up here to try to, not quite finish the job, but come closer. This guy has now finished this road, which did make getting out there easier. I think we start here with groves. And then over here, let's see. I think we'll just heal for a turn there. Wrap this up. Goodness. You come on over here, repair the lumber mill. On this side of things, we go to the gardener now so that we can get these tiles and then those more additional groves, but also, of course, the actual luxury that goes along with it. And now that we've got volunteers in, I actually am going to spend some of that remaining civic stockpile on him. It's an investment in the ongoing generation of civics to the global stockpile, but more importantly, it allows us to do some missions with him. And Pacify City is going to be a pretty big one that we need to have running basically 24/7 going forward. A lot, not all, not even close to all, but a lot of the concern that we're having with our families right now comes from the amount of accumulated discontent. Minus 260. And we're not going to be able to do that. I'm not going to be able to take care of that overnight, but we got to start chipping away there because it's not going to get better over time. It will, in fact, get worse. All right, and then here, though, do we want to pop this border anywhere in particular? Let's see. I think we're going to go apprentice officer, not because we need to make units here so much, but because it's actually the specialist that will give us the most research of all things. But that's our urban specialist bonus coming in handy for sure. I don't think we have any borders we care about here. I think we'll do the same thing for the same reason, or do we want to go apprentice poet here? Could be nice to get this up to legendary, but that's not really gonna change the master poet. You get some civics for eventually. I think we go apprentice officer. The city is still our, unit production city, and so if we ever need to pivot back to that, we'll be happy that that's the direction we went in. Swenet. What's up here? So we don't have any citizens for specialists yet, but we will in 2 turns. So we could do would be to upgrade an existing one to buy that time, or something that might sound a little silly. We have tons of boats and not enough to do with them, but it would be nice to kind of scout up this direction, and it'll take forever to get a boat up here otherwise. It is a rider's city. It can make a bireme relatively quickly, so I actually think we're going to do that. And then Shurapak, about here. I think this is an apprentice officer situation as well. The other thing, right, that all of this is doing, when you have a bunch of citizens, i.e. folks that could be specialists that you haven't invested in making specialists yet, that also decreases opinion. So something else that we would like to slowly but surely chip away at. Of course, specialists are also good on their own merits, but especially given the situation we're in with our families. So let's keep on chipping away at that as well. Let's see, one more turn on the capture there. I think we probably need to keep scouting. Won't really be able to see much from that. Yeah, but you have to check just in case, I suppose. Disciple, no. Worker, yes. What should we do here? Could go for a hamlet. It's an Odeon boosted hamlet, and we could use gold. Gold is kind of a thing for us right now. Not in a good way. Here's also a chance to build an improvement. I think this, yeah, might also be a courthouse situation. Yep. Okay. Should really finish off these raids. It's fine, right? It is fine, but it's not my favorite thing to be playing whack-a-mole every turn because, you know, $10 we're gonna get another one that pops in the next turn cycle. But what can you do? What can you do? We had one more worker, it said. Oh, we didn't. I guess I didn't click it properly. Good, glad I saw that. And then let's do some improvement, some opinion improvement as well. We are already influenced here. I'm not sure that there's... Yeah, there's nothing we can do on this front. What we could do that could have high or far-reaching impact would be opinion of a religion, right? Because that's part of what's going on here too. So we could try to do some personal diplomacy with the... Oh, right, never mind. Our queen is potentially on her way out, so maybe we will save that too. But hey, we can, even for 20 orders, just stockpile it. Save it for next turn. Should have 65 orders next turn. It's pretty wild. I think this will trigger 50 urban improvements, but not yet 3 cities. That'll be, this one will trigger that. But it is technically enough, I think, for the game to potentially offer us another subjugator. Offer us another conqueror. Neat. Offer us another ambition, potentially, as early as this turn. Let's see. Great, our entire council is ill, along with us. And we are, in fact, doomed. So we're going to have a lot of turnover here. But, ambition completed. Pretty good legitimacy, and a stockpile of orders is not the worst thing in the world to hand over to an heir, who we should take a peek at and familiarize ourselves with very shortly. Alright, so Judaism has spread to Swenet. Ooh. We could grab a pile of civics, and an individual would dislike us, but she's on her way out, so who cares? And we get a bonus, but she's on her way out, so who cares? Or we can get opinion of Judaism and a Jewish disciple. I think we take the civics. That's the thing we are certain to pass down comfortably. And then yes, Babylon. Babylon is a real good city. This is one where actually sages is probably the right answer just from the number of specialists alone, right? And I'm kind of wishing I had kept that in mind before we gave them this one, not because we didn't get, 8, soon to be 10 bonus there, but because we do have to juggle these. Let's see. The landowners, we would get some gold from a couple random farms that they have lying around here. you know, that's fine, I suppose. You know? How mad does everyone else get? It's only 20, and in the grand scheme of things, I think we're at the point now where, like, so much else washes out the small change of being one city away. So I think that's way worth the jump in science production. So I think we're going to do that. Yeah, I think that was the right move. And then let's see, what else do we need to get done up here? Have yourself a promotion. Sure, why not? And then up here, let's wrap this up here as well. You should heal. This guy. So we got windmills now, by the way. These are kind of cool. They give adjacency bonuses to your RGOs and science themselves, which is pretty cool. They make a lot more sense to be putting places where you already have the RGOs developed, right? But they're also intelligent, like, to plan around if you can. Something to keep in mind here that we, I'm sure, are going to get into in a moment. Need to remember to repair that when he comes free, probably next turn. And then, yes, let's come down here, keep scouting. And this is their capital, I guess, right? Yeah. Looks like a pretty good city. What are we going to make in Babylon? I guess the first thing we will do is repair the damage. Should we get some governors in? I think we have a couple spots where governors could be helpful. This would be a great governor to have for either building or upgrading a bunch of specialists, right? Because this is local civics production. And given what we need to do here, that's probably correct, right? We have 9 citizens that need to be specialists, and there's plenty of specialists that they could also upgrade here. So yes, that's the answer, I think. She goes here. Even though, again, as a diplomat, it's just not my favorite archetype for governors, but especially because the fact that she's a sage family governor already, like, it's completely wasted. She matched here whether she was a diplomat or not, so that's sort of a bummer. Oh well, no problem. Let's see, and then we should build in Chenham Wesset. Is that what this is? Janet. I'm starting to lose track of our of our cities, which is a good sign, I'm sure. Worker, I guess. Why not? Or maybe we do... Yeah, we could go more like a forum. We have 4 citizens? Yeah. I mean, then we need a worker, right? If the answer is we don't have enough improvements to build specialists in, then we need workers, and we could definitely get more out of this whole northern strip. So let's do that. Anything needs repaired out here? Not really. Oh, good. Yes, this is great. This is our first nets. This will give us a luxury dies, right? It's also kind of a nice improvement in of itself. 20 cash and 2 culture in a city that we would like to get up to strong, or certainly has the potential to be. And then Chenham Wesset here, the answer is definitely going to be the specialist for honey. So let's do that. Speaking of which, what do we have? Olives, brilliant, because that is something that we can send to the family that is currently maddest at us. It matches nicely. So we go from minus 244 to minus 184, right? Not bad. 60. Not bad. And then, let's see. You're good. What do you want to do with this worker? Could go pasture. Sure. We could go windmill here, which, given that it's adjacent to a mine, would be worth 60 bucks on top of the 2 science that it already gets. And this is probably a decent quarry spot. Yeah. That's the answer, and we're going to build around that too, I think. Cool. What else can we do here? Here's a worker. More quarries. Not a terrible answer. 7.5. And in 3 turns, this is going to pop anyway. Guess we could do a hamlet here to be adjacent to the Odeon. Oh man, we don't have the cash to be buying that. Wow, that's really bad. I didn't realize how bad our cash situation had gotten, which is on me. So food, right? This price has come crashing down. Food is just not worth it anymore. It used to be on par with the rise in all of these, but somewhere around 12, 13 bucks, this started coming down, and these all kept going up, or at least stagnated a bit. So, I mean, I think it's probably worth, let's say, selling down a bit of those, just to have a cash buffer here. That'll be captured in a turn. I suppose we will be probably ejected. I don't know if we have to spend an order on it. Getting out of the way for them. Why do we owe them that? What else do we have here? A worker, good. I think we might go courthouse. I think that's right. Amphitheater. Yeah, maybe that's the answer, actually. This is pretty cool. So this is the 3rd level Odeon, right? Odeon, theater, amphitheater. In fact, Odeon, theater, amphitheater. Since we have them all around a hamlet, we'll get bonuses for all of them. And in fact, we could probably put another hamlet right here, for example, or here. Right? So you don't have to have everything next to each other like that, but it can add up if you do. So it's nice to do if you're able to make it work. And then we'll let our disciples chill. Same with these biremes. Again, we are about to have a succession issue, so I would actually very much like to keep as many of these orders as we can. So everything that doesn't have explicit value for being done this turn, I'm actually going to let go. But it will heal. One other thing we probably ought to look at. Are there any other of these places that desperately need a governor that don't? And I know that's a strong word. I'm going past quite a few of these that don't have a governor, but I'm looking at which cities are important right now. He's old. He's old. I mean, that's neat, I guess. Some stone. Yeah, I think it's all right. I think we wait. Just sort of see how the court shakes out, because we've got multiple illnesses, including that of our ruler. So I think we'll let it go. Here, library's a good improvement. We're good on science. I'm like, really, if there's one thing I'm not worried about, it's science. And we're holding just fine on that front. So what else would we look at? Architecture is good. We've been kind of waiting, or, pushing off on this for some time, but philosophy is a great law for kind of the direction we're going right now. Urban specialists are a lot of what we're pivoting to building here. And cold baths are great. Like I said, we definitely need to chip away at unhappiness. Plus, an apprentice doctor is not a terrible specialist either. So this is nice, and gives us yet another set of urban improvements to go into. Martial Code allows us to go into the city walls line a little bit further, which is nice. And these are okay, I guess. Potential laws. And the infantry square is very good because we have spears that could then become pikes. And those are better units. I think all told, though, I think we're going to go architecture as part of this Egypt-themed push into improvements that we have been kind of flirting with here. So let's navigate another succession. Hopefully it's not a crisis. Sometimes these can be net gains in certain areas if there's better personal diplomacy. For example, our heir, who, oops, I meant to sort of hover over and give us an idea of, she is young, which is good. Hopefully she will last a little bit longer. And nice, this intercession mission ticked over. And even though it was done on behalf of the mother, it will pass in benefit to the daughter, which is great. And interesting. Okay, the landowners have gone to Judaism. And our sister, our insane sister, has become the head of the landowners family. She is educated and insane, which is a great combo. I think I know a few people like that. All right, so we have captured the 3 cities that we needed to for that. And she passes. You know, I went on a probably too long, but I had fun with it monologue about how Hatshepsut had a chance to step in and to be the ruler of the moment that Egypt needed. And I think she was that. She did not rule very long. Not very long at all, unfortunately. But if she was going to pick the, 8 turns, 10 turns that Egypt most needed her to rule during, it's going to be the one, like that is the set of turns, almost perfectly timed, for her to be the most appropriate ruler possible. So well done by her. Sad it wasn't longer, but at the same time, I think she set her legacy in the way that she probably hoped she would have. And now, who knows? What do we do with this one? She's a zealot, which makes her a fine general. This is kind of neat, by the way. Enlist next kill. For 400 civics, you can basically capture a unit instead of removing it from the board when you kill it, which is kind of neat. And you can use training to hurry production in cities that we have the state religion of. And all of our units get to move one more tile. So normally you get to go three, little dots, right, of movement. Now we have 4. Now it still costs an order. You don't move any faster with any of those, but you can send individual units further, which is lovely for something like a ballista, for example, that has terrible movement range. So that's cool. We can work with that. She will be a fine general, and I would say a fine ruler. I'm deeply unimpressed by the other stats that we have, well, frankly, that we've cultivated in her over time. We have no one to blame but ourselves on that. But I think in the net we'll be okay. Plus she's 29, so we will probably have chances to improve that over time as well. I'm not sure that having her on this boat is the best place for her to be as a general. We'll play around with it. Let's handle some decisions first. Oh my. Here's the tutorial that we just said, and here we go. this is what we were hoping for, that they could come back and have their marriage sanctioned, because I could care less, especially for legitimacy. But now they are back in the court and can be assigned to help out, which is great. And then this is the last of Babylon's cities. Who shall we give this to? I suppose the Riders is a fine answer here. There are still a handful of rural tiles that we could improve with the landowners. The Riders... I don't know. We're not going to produce any units here. Maybe it's probably landowners. Not much in the way of farms in here. I suppose we could change that. I don't know. I think we're also just kind of at the point where it doesn't matter that much. So let's do that. And the sages, often displeased with our predecessor, we have a unique opportunity to fix that, which we will definitely do for 280 food. Yeah, that'll work. And look at this. More personal diplomacy opportunities. We can... Oof. I'm not sending civics. I think I'll do this with Hati. I mean, she likes us already. He does too. I mean, I guess we could just take the XP as well. But I think we'll do Hati. I would love if we could provoke, like, get Hati to attack Aksum. Or Carthage, either or. Developing culture in Janet. Will we accept the Wandering Magus? Magus? But like, yes. No, we certainly will. He's a free character, right? And 500 civics? My goodness. Imagine trading that for a 25% chance at a mid-trait. Yeah, well, we'll definitely take that. What are we going to make in Galzu? Yeah. We are going to probably go in the specialist direction here as well. Do we need to repair first? And honestly, maybe throw walls in here since it's a border city with Aksum. Probably not a terrible idea. What can we do over here? Still waiting. I want this to pop first, so we'll go here. We could harvest. Actually, no. I'd rather just heal first, right? Who else has orders? Pasture. I'm less interested in the pasture and more interested in popping the incense, but I'm not sure that this would do that necessarily. And I think a quarry here is probably just better all the way around. Chain a couple of those together up against these mountains. Then disciple. Oh, great. More rebel units. Oh, it'd be great if we could get him out of the urban tile, but of course he's just going to retreat back into a different urban tile. Oh well. Over here, see how nice it is to have a fatigue limit of 4. Makes reacting to these situations a lot easier, that's for sure. I actually think we probably need to make sure that our spears, because these guys are anti-polearm, right? We need to make sure that our spears are in urban so that they have a little bit of a defense bonus. I am a little bit worried he's going to do a ton of damage there with a cleave or something, which would not be ideal, in my opinion. We can bring him in to support just in case. Yeah, so we have been ejected from the borders here because Aksum has in fact incorporated Uruk properly. So I think this is actually a fine spot still to keep an eye out, and in fact, even better, we can get more vision on them. If their entire purpose is scouting, that would be an appropriate upgrade. Promotion, that's the word for that. Goodness, that took too long. Here we go. Also helpful for exploration, additional fatigue limit. And then, let's see. An ambassador mission could be helpful here. I mean, I don't really want peace with Aksum necessarily. We maybe want to be able to fight them eventually here. But I think so there's no point in improving their opinion. I'm not convinced that's the long-term play here, and we don't need to worry about them in the short term. We could try to improve our opinion with Carthage. Yeah. Well, at any rate, also ill. So I think we'll let that go. Yeah. We have so many units. It's awesome. But yeah, this is the thing. It's like we have a huge army now. We've spent a lot of time cultivating it, upgrading it, and it feels like we want to use it, right? But we're in an awkward spot, power level wise. Aksum is still stronger than us. Doesn't mean it's impossible for us to fight a war, it just means it's dangerous. And they're friendly with Carthage, right? Carthage and Aksum, peace and pleased. Peace and friendly. You could easily see them coming to each other's aid, directly or indirectly. And I think it would be kind of tough for us to fight, certainly both of them. But I'm not entirely convinced we can even fight one of them right now without some significant risk. So, you know, it's awkward. It's very awkward. I can't sit here on 75 orders and do nothing, though, you know? So, we'll give it some thought. In the meanwhile, though, we are absolutely doing a great job of getting up and moving here. Our civilization is pivoting back pretty nicely to getting a lot of value out of our cities, not just a number of cities, which is good. I think this might be a city worth putting a governor in, potentially. Maybe? What do we have here? Our Delver again. Ah, Duke Api is back. So so he's another one where it would be very similar character profile, by the way, to the other governor we just put in. He would be great at cranking out a few specialists quickly. So let's see if we can find which city has the most specialist opportunity. And by that, I simply mean what's the biggest green number, right? What's the biggest pile of citizens that we have? And it's Chem. Do we have a governor here? We don't. Yeah, I think that's the move. Now, he's corrupt. It's going to cost us some cash. It's not great, but it is a decent amount of civics generation, which should really help with the fact that there are 5 citizens. There's like probably not quite more, but almost more citizens in Chem than the rest of our empire combined. So that's a good spot for him to focus for a bit. Let's do that. Carthage has actually overtaken Aksum here, by the way. I think they are doing probably a better job. Yeah, they're building a ton of wonders. right? So we've lost a general. We have also lost a level of happiness. And our spy master's on the way out, but our ambassador is bouncing back. Very good. Manichaeism has spread to Sipar. And we can pick a side. No matter what, we're going to deal with some unhappiness, which is a more important religion to us. Well, they're both unimpressed by us, I suppose. I think Zoroastrianism could benefit the most from the 40 opinion. So we'll do that for our entertainment. This seems to be an ambition offer. 3 heated baths, 3 palaces. So heated baths, I believe, are what we just unlocked. Oh man, a bunch of good units in here. Let me come back to that. So the heated bath improvement line. See if I can come over and show it to you here. All right, never mind. But I can show you in the... Oh, whoops. Control Z'd. In the all improvements option, or I guess all urban improvements, probably the simplest way to do this. So cold bath, happiness, cost you stone, and then it will enable warm baths, which enables heated baths. So that's upgraded, like the max level of that build, of that improvement line. And then same thing here, but the palace is, I believe it is the courthouse. Yeah, the courthouse line. So, for example, where is it? We have in Wasset, maybe, was it that we put, maybe the next one up? Is that what's happening over here? Nope, Stronghold. Anyway, the problem is, for both of these require they require legendary culture, and you can only build 1 per city. So in order to build 3 of these, we have to have implicitly, although I don't say it here, implicitly in either case, we have to have 3 legendary culture cities. Wasset is that already, but I don't think anyone else is particularly close. We're looking for cities that are strong today already and nearby, near to getting it. We are 68 turns away over here in Chem. We could work to improve that, right? The Apprentice Poet is a good start to that. It is culture, right? So that's probably our next best opportunity. Between that and Patacaca, which has been our military-focused city for a while. So that's probably doable. Our first 3, essentially, cities that we've had. But it's going to take a second. Still, though, I think it's worth doing. And if we're going to go in that direction, we've already done, I think, a few courthouses. So let's go there. It's not the best thing we could have gotten up here as an offer, but we'll get a couple others, and we'll probably get to it. You need promoted. Over here, High Ramses is not making any mounted units. It has no mines and quarries. So I guess we're just going for growth. Fine. And then let's do our building here. Wasset, what do you want to do? Well, we have 3 citizens, so we should probably try to do some stuff pretty quickly, if that makes sense. So we definitely don't want to worry about upgrading existing specialists. We need to make new ones. And since we have a bunch of citizens already, farmers aren't really going to be the thing that moves the needle for us. So we could do mining. Nothing particularly impressive here necessarily. We could do wood cutting. I think similarly, but maybe does a little bit more for us on the research side of things. So sure, right? Take your pick. I think that's probably our Best one, 9.5. Pretty small difference at this point, but we'll take it. Yeah, so, you know, we can hurry it for a citizen, which is kind of productive, but it is something you can do. Mero, what can you do? Out here, this is when we could try to get more specialists. And let's go with the scribe for the additional civics. I'm sort of thinking the more we go into that and build Mero up, the more it can also become a strong culture city. So let's see what we can do on that front. Hen. Shopkeeper could be fun. We like a little bit of gold, a little bit of science, but I do really like civics because we'll be able to build more specialists with that. So I think that's probably the move there. Worker. That's a grove. Do we have a worker from the right city? I don't think that we do. How much do we care? Probably not too much. So let's do this, push him out, hopefully. And we should be able to do a little bit more damage. Heal. And then, yes, I do think it is worth... probably not force marching, though. In which case, he'll handle it next turn. Alright, never mind then. What can you do over here instead? Could go courthouse. Or we could go Odeon. Try to get the culture going. I think that's right. Let's do that. Ooh, or that's a decent quarry site. Yeah, okay, actually, I'm going to do that. I would really like to do some wonders, but we have to have a stockpile here. So that's why I'm prioritizing quarries probably a little bit more than I had been previously. Keep scouting over here. Wander around. What's back here? My goodness. We're even going to find Hati, maybe. Okay. And then let's come on back this way. This city, still one turn away. Let's just get you out here and... well, we still have to build the specialist here, so that's not going to pop next turn. Never mind. And then let's go maybe courthouse instead. Maybe that's right. Let's do it. Worker over here. Keep on going with these groves. Disciple, worker. What do we want you to do? Is this... yes, this is a hamlet. Odeon. I know they're suggesting a marker, but I actually think a market. I actually think a theater's the right thing to do. Here we can put a couple of these together in a nice little adjacency, you know, feed-forward loop. Nice little collection of units there. All right, and then these two disciple units we are good on. So, I kind of want to do monasticism. These are all awesome upgrades. So our archer could either upgrade into a crossbowman or a longbowman. Longbowmen have more range, crossbowmen have less range, but they get good pierce and anti-melee promotions. So they're both good, right? It just depends on how you want to specialize. And then cohorts is an upgrade for the swordsman line, which you can take your spearman, axeman, or maceman and move into as well. So these are all great, but if we're not actively warring, I think we're going to take the one turn and then redraw on the ability to make to make the monastery improvements, since we have these little disciples popping around here and nothing else to do with them. I've got to remind myself to repair. Let's see. Whatever, fine. Doesn't matter what it's called. I just need to remember to do that next turn. That 7 semesters marker just hides behind the city for my eyes, personally. Let's see, and we said you're good. And then I think we're going to... We have such an order stockpile. We officially, because 100 is the most that we can handle, we are officially going to need to start spending them back down again. I think I have hemmed and hawed and delayed on decision making about as long as we can go there. But at the same time, it will make for a very good war blitz afterwards. I do hope we get another ambition option here soon. That's kind of an RNG thing. The game will offer them to you when it, rolls the dice and sees fit. But I think, we should, anytime you have less than 2, there's a pretty decent chance that it'll offer you something. So let's see. Nice. Okay, good. So our family opinions have all improved, which is great. We needed that recovery. All right, Freedom Movement Developing Culture Event in Sipar. Good, which means another victory point, right? Slowly ticking up. We're kind of catching up here. And we get to, oh geez. We can move to freedom instead of slavery. Now, we've had slavery for most of the game because it gave us a flat bonus in iron and stone, which we don't really need anymore, right? I mean, this is probably 60 iron, 60 stone. Now, of course, like I said, we're still trying to get back into stone more, but, we certainly have the iron, right? So it's not the end of the world, and we would get more growth in all cities and drop in rebel chance. So we could either say, absolutely not, and get 100 XP for every new infantry unit and fight rebels and get a military bonus. We could say you can experiment with it and just get some free civics, or we can go straight into the law itself. Free law. I think we're going to do it. The growth is kind of what has my attention here, so I think we're going to do that. Come back to research in a moment here. In Geptu, we have got our specialist, so I should have moved my unit here after all. Whoops, no worries. What shall we do then? We could grab some more disciples. This is a city that has good growth and can pick any number of them, but I think we kind of want our growth to go towards developing citizens. Maybe we will instead upgrade a master poet for 30 seconds and then in 2 turns? Is that what it was? 3 turns. We'll switch over, assuming we remember it. Big assumption, right? Okay. And then what are we doing down here in Babylon? We are finally repaired. I think we're going to start with a gardener. Yeah, because we would like the citrus. Yeah, citrus seems good. Okay, so we'll do that. And then in Chem, this is where we are on a bit of a blitz, pushing out some specialists again. I think Trapper, probably the move, grabs a bunch of tiles too, actually, which is great, and half an order. So that's the answer there. Out here, maybe we should grab... Yeah, so Citadel, this is the top level improvement, right, for the stronghold line. That's what why we're building the stronghold here, and rather why we had built the garrison in the first place. It's more orders, which is awesome. Of course, it costs cash. It also unlocks the Mounted Lancer, which is the upgrade to the Light Chariot, which is the awesome ranged chariot that we've been riding around on for quite a few episodes now, actually, now that I think about it. So we want this. We also want the upgraded, the courthouse version of this, but I think it's important to start here. So let's do that. What do we need to do? We need to buy a bunch of stone, I'm sure. That's fine. And it did bring our stone generation, going off of slavery, it did bring our stone generation down to functionally 0, which isn't great, but that is the trade-off. Now honey is, yes, also requested by one of our families, and so I think we will give it to them, which should make them, hopefully, pleased. And then let's come back here. How about you? Yep, I got my reminder and then immediately forgot anyways, but fortunately there it is. What else can we do here? Jewish disciple. Okay, so the Jewish disciple can build the Jewish monastery, which is kind of cool. So we can get 1 per city. And then the upgrades to that are the temple and cathedral. And then a whole-on temple of Solomon, 1 per nation, which is kind of cool. So that would be victory points. This should be seen as a wonder, right? So let's get one of these going. Maybe come on up here. Why are you suggesting it up there? I don't know. It does give a bonus to grove, adjacent groves. And there aren't any in this city, and nothing really nearby enough to justify delaying otherwise, so sure. We'll go here. Here. Here we go. Jewish monastery. And then, conversely, let's go right to the Zoroastrian one, who, by the way, can do the exact same thing. Now here, we actually do have adjacent grove. And in fact, that's a doubly adjacent grove, something to keep in mind. We'll build this here. I think that is a fine suggestion. Okay, and then, yeah, speaking of which, let's go ahead and grab that grove. And then over here, could do a watermill. Same thing as the windmill, except instead of on a hill, it's just next to a river. This could be all right. I'm less impressed here in this specific spot. So I don't know that we're gonna bother quite yet with that. We could do, this city really could use some happiness. So maybe that's what we'll do, is come on over here, build ourselves a bath, which will require us to do a tiny bit of selling. Not nearly as much as I did, but that's fine too. And then more scouting. Okay. I think this guy we're going to rotate back out, and then we will anchor up there instead. And then, all right, let's think about at least where we're deploying our military, if not straight up making any attacks this turn. I think we should probably fortify this area, right? At a minimum, we should bring our units to the front line. So let's do that. Let's go melee units in the front, more or less. And we'll bring forward a bunch of the ranged units as well. I'm going to keep him in the city just because it's the safest spot. And I would hate to get surprise striked. Here, I actually think we're going to bring our ruler here instead of the boat that's halfway across the dang world. So let's do that. We can bring, actually, you know what? This one, is this a range? It is. This is also a range. This is not a max leveled archer. It's one of our cheap later reinforcements that did actually survive. So that's great, but I think we can let him catch a little bit of XP while we're sitting here. And then let's get this one also up to the front as well. And then this unit is doing us no good here. I think he's got a... Oh, we have the anchor, unfortunately. But we can add a general here to one of these riders generals into this unit. I think this is the answer. Extra range is neat, but I'm thinking about plus 25 into urban more than anything else here. Oh, it already has Besieger. The unit already has it. Okay, so never mind. I guess I must have been thinking about doing the same thing previously. So heal in neutral territory is one of my favorite offensive promotions because it allows you to keep going. Here, do we add a general to this one? Could do that. Yeah, and then again with, oh, nope, can't have Swift. I mean, you know, it's just a waste. I think the 25% into urban outweighs the inability to totally get something out of that, but that's okay. And then who else is around here? Could get... Ah, that's right. Our daughter onto... Very rare to have landowner's unit be so available. We're mostly riders and sages, so anytime you have a landowner general that you can actually deploy properly, we'll take that. Over here, I'll do a promotion, I suppose. Thinking about this as just like a defensive outpost for now at least, but I would like to bring these units a little bit closer to the front line as well. Up here, it's just sort of an awkward way to defend an area that isn't a front line, so I think we're going to remove that one. Might as well bring spear as well. These guys all actually need healed, but I don't think that's the only thing we'll do with them on this turn. Let's also relocate them. Definitely leaving this area undefended with respect to raids and such. Also, definitely don't think that's too big a deal. And if and when we need to crank out a quick unit just to be safe there, we certainly can do that as well. Okay, so that is enough to have at least not wasted all these orders. Now, what tech did we target? I'm trying to remember. It's cartography, that's right, we were worried about the naval advantage. Well, that worked out just fine, so not too worried about that now. And in fact, whoops, thought I could toggle that with the right click. Maybe it's just clicking. Okay. So then, what is the most important thing for us to go for here? I think just anything that gives us decent laws and such. Free perfume for a turn? Yeah, I think that's okay. We'll do that. And yeah, that's it. So I think we're going to call it here. we have orders left, but the turn is over. I would have pressed end turn either way. And so I think this was a good retrenchment episode. I feel like we probably had the most Egypt-based episode that we've ever had. We didn't take any cities. I mean, we finished capturing cities. We didn't take any cities. We didn't add anything. But at the same time, I actually think we probably grew our economic output more this episode than any other episode we've done. And yeah, I think as a result, we're in a pretty good spot here. I'm still not entirely decided on what war we want to pick next. I think the nice thing, if we continue to like react and get ambitions and chase whatever the game gives us, I think that would probably get us across the finish line. You've also seen us close this gap pretty aggressively this episode already, and I think we could keep doing this too if we wanted. Keep developing, keep building. So if you've got strong opinions, if you want to see this end on a war note, if you want to see us burn through all of Aksum and Carthage, let me know. If you think that's a really good way for this to end poorly and you'd rather actually just see Egypt build for the first time all game, let me know that too. I can go either way. And I think the good news is everything we did today was pretty much no regrets. Stuff that will be helpful for us really no matter which direction we go. So I feel good about it. In fact, you know what? I'm going to move one last boat. And I think we'll be ready to make a call here pretty soon. But in either way, we're in as good a spot as we have been all playthrough. So good stuff. Well, yeah, I had fun. This is a very, very chill, easy, relaxing episode, much less stressful than the recent campaigns tend to feel. But it's always fun, no matter what. So I hope you enjoyed yourself as well. And if you did, do make sure to come back for the next one so you can see us push towards the finish line. I think we should probably be able to move into really a dead sprint towards the end here pretty soon, which would be great. And as I said, if you've got strong opinions on which direction you think we should go strategically, air them out. Let's hear it. I'm very, very interested to see if others read the situation the same way that I do. It's not always guaranteed to be true. It's not always guaranteed that I'm right. So let me know. But until then, have a great rest of your day, and bye-bye.